Today I am going to show you how I built my Lego MOC Castle in the sky. This is by far the most challenging and difficult Lego MOC that I ever built. At the beginning I thought like, okay, it's just a rotating castle. That's a little bit boring. It's just too easy. But I couldn't have been more wrong. After I built the technique for the rotating function, I thought, okay, now it's gonna be easy. It's just a castle, right? Also, I couldn't have been more wrong. This model took me everything. Every single part of this MOC had so many challenges. Let's begin with the rotating function. So, at first I thought, okay, rotating. So, logically for something big, I'm gonna take this piece that I'm showing you right here. But you can try, just put a little force on it and then try to rotate it. It's so hard to rotate. So it didn't took me long to realize it's not gonna work. If the castle is too heavy, never, Lego motor is never gonna rotate it because Lego motors are so weak. I came up with this idea of a Lego ball bearing and I talked with my father about it, who's an engineer. I used Lego balls which get pushed to the outside by this Lego disc, and the whole thing rotates very easily. The next problem was I needed something that drives the whole thing. My first idea was a Lego Technic axle. But soon I found out that if something that's a little bit more heavy gets rotated by only this Lego axle, there's no way the Lego axle is going to be strong enough to rotate this thing. The Lego axle just twists. The next idea was to use a V-belt. But everything that I tried, and I tried a lot of things, nothing really worked. I used some weights, 2.5 kilograms to be exactly, to simulate the castle, and with some of the techniques it rotated, but not smoothly at all. It wasn't fluidly. It rotated very jerky, and I knew if the castle is a little bit more heavy than I expected it to be, it will never work. At this point my father told me that just the ball bearing wasn't stable enough. I needed a bigger support surface. And then I got this idea of this huge Lego ring. The castle still weighs on the ball bearing, but the ring gives more stability and more balance. Not only that, it also gave me the opportunity to drive everything, which we're gonna see later. So I thought, okay, it's gonna be easy. I know this illegal Lego technique where you just install the Lego pieces offset. It was very easy to build the ring, but it was not easy at all to connect the ring to the rest of the model. Every time I connected the ring and built some kind of diameter, the ring was never exactly round, and this was a problem because I wanted to drive the ring with a wheel, with a Lego wheel that's on the ring, as you can see right here. For this, the ring must be exactly round so that the wheel is always in contact with the ring. And then I realized it. My ring was a circle, and to get the scope I needed to get involved with maths. U equals 2 pi r. To put it otherwise, U divided by P equals diameter. As a unit of length I used Lego bricks, but if you divide Lego bricks with pi, you don't get a Lego brick of length. So I needed a number of Lego bricks that can be divided more or less by P to get a round circle. I found out that this number is 88, No wrong meaning intended at this point, but you can divide it by 4, which is important because I needed to connect everything evenly. And you can also divide it pretty good by p. So if you divide it by p, you get pretty much 28 Lego bricks. You can see the exact number here. After this, I took 28 Lego bricks as a diameter. But you know what? The circle still wasn't round. I thought like, how's this possible? The math needs to be correct. How can the math be wrong? But I made a mistake in my thinking. Because I installed the pieces of set, a small gap appeared between the Lego pieces. And all these gaps made the scope bigger than it actually should be. So I enlarged the diameter by 1 and it was pretty perfect. I was very lucky that this one brick balanced the gaps. So finally I had this round ring. As you can see here, it rotates so easily with the ball bearing. I was so happy that everything worked. To stabilize the ring, I put some wheels under it. Now I built the Lego wheel with a motorized, so the wheel rotates the ring and so eventually the castle rotates. At first I wanted that the wheel gets pushed against the ring by feathers, so the wheel never loses contact. This didn't work very well. I just built the wheel against the ring and put it very close so it never loses contact. This was just the best way to go. Now the ring rotated, and to test everything I put some weight on it. And the motor could rotate the weight. I was very happy. What I didn't know at this moment was that this castle would be much more heavy than I thought. Not 2.5 kilograms, not at all. And it would be also much bigger than I thought. Now I wanted to build on the Lego cloud, which hides the technique. For the ring, I needed to build very big wide surfaces. This was a problem because I couldn't support these surfaces in the middle due to the rotating ring. When I tried to install these surfaces next to the ring, it was never stable enough. My father got this idea of some kind of a skeleton that holds these plates. This was finally stable enough. And now, as you can see, you can put the plates on the skeleton. Under the plates, I built some bricks that fit into holes in the skeleton, so everything is fixed. I need to make them kind of round so that it's more easy to put the cloud into the skeleton. If it would be sharp with edges, you would never be able to put it in right. Now, as you can see, you can lift the clouds up and pull them to the side. This is important so you can also lift them up when the castle is built on. Why did I do this? It's very important that you have access to the technique. If anything goes wrong, you need to fix it. If some of the technique is broken and you don't have access, you can put your MOC into the trash. The next step was to build the clouds that move up and down. They are driven by these Lego wheels. I got the technique from JK Brickworks. I got 2 parts with 1 motor each. 1 part with 1 small cloud and 1 big cloud, and 1 part with 2 small clouds and 1 big cloud. What I realized later is that the big clouds, they don't work very well. They're not going up and down smoothly. Again, it's the problem of the Lego axle. It twists, it's just too much weight for the axle. Man, Lego, I really need some steel axles. The wheel of the bigger cloud can only turn in this direction, otherwise the cloud gets caught. I don't even know why it works in this direction. I think it looks better when it goes in the other direction, but it just doesn't work that way. To be honest with you, this technique isn't very approved for this kind of size. I don't even know if it works for a longer time. For the small clouds, it just works perfectly. To hide the new technique, I needed to build more modules. And this was also hard to hide the technique, but it also needed to have some kind of distance to the technique, because I didn't want it to interfere with the technique. This can lead to many problems. So I had some kind of safe distance, some safety distance. Furthermore, the modules had to fit in each other perfectly, so you can see nothing of the technique. Also for the technique, I always tried to get a little bit of distance. For example, the rotating wheel for the cloud, there's a lot of distance to the wheel so it doesn't get caught. Not only this, for the technique I had a very big conflict between friction and stability. This was also always the problem. Also for the castle itself, for the rotating function, it needed to be very stable because the castle is so heavy. At the same time, it needed to have very little friction, so the Lego motor is strong enough to rotate the castle. After I had a pretty stable and pretty easy to rotate technique and the clouds, I thought, okay, now it's gonna be easy, but it wasn't. I think that's enough for this week. And yeah, as you can see, there were a lot of challenges and problems that I had to face during the process. And very often with this model, I had to start from the beginning. In the near future, I'm looking forward to do another video about the process of the castle itself. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit longer, but I thought it would be interesting to give some insights in the process.